Well, Mom, he's handsome, he's funny, and he's got a great body. I want to have him over for dinner. Well, the couch is comfortable, it reclines, and it's got a 10-year warranty. Their food is good, it comes out fast, and it's cheap. The rule of three, my friends. Everything worth having has at least 3 key points of value that make it what it is. Financial freedom is no different. Stay tuned to Man of the Free for the 1, 2, 3 of money. What's up, guys? Big Luke here. Man of the Free Studios, freedom of mind, money, and media, where this big, goofy son of a gun comes on the microphone, stands in front of a bunch of bright lights and cameras, and tries to bring you value, okay? Freedom of mind, freedom of money, freedom of media. What are these things? This is me bringing you free information in an attempt to help you, my fellow man or woman, become free in your life. Now, freedom of money is what we're going to talk about today, okay? And everybody, doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, everybody's got a different opinion about money, okay? I've met millionaires who feel broke, okay? People who have grown up in families, in places where if you're not driving the most recent, newest Bugatti, BMW, insert label of hot car here, you may as well go home because you're not going to be accepted. I know people who have memberships to country clubs that cost $100,000 a year. So put that in perspective. Vast majority of this audience is excited at the prospect that we're going to help you get to an income that's 6 figures. I want you to stop for a second and imagine if 6 figures is what it took for you to simply pay the membership dues to your country club, okay? Everybody has a different idea. How much is enough money? For me, I don't know. I would love to answer that question for you guys, and my promise to you is to be authentic and speak on experience. And if I knew what the magical number was that I would have to earn before I could say, you know what, I'm successful. That's it. That's the dollar that I got to get to. That's the top of the mountain in my potential. But the truth is, I don't know. So I can only speak on and share with you what I do know, okay? And here's what I know. I know that money is freedom, all right? I love that argument. People come to me and they say, Big Luke, man, it's real sad. You're always talking about money, brother. You're always talking about money. And I'm like, yeah. And they say, I feel bad for you because I think that your mind is so wrapped up around money and so just coded in the thought that success is financial that I think you're a little lost, brother. And I look at them and I say, you rich? And they say, no, yeah, I'll get this answer. Yeah, I'm rich, man. I'm rich with my family. I'm rich with my home. I'm rich with love. And I'm like, cool. So you don't have to pay NIMO. You don't have to pay your credit card bill. You don't have to pay your mortgage bill. You and your wife, you've never argued about money. Your kid breaks his leg. Every dollar's covered by insurance. There's no copay. Matter of fact, the house that you live in, the roof's never going to leak. That what you're telling me? No, I get it, Luke. Obviously, money is important, but it's not everything. You goddamn right, it's not everything. It's not everything. But it's like second place, okay? What is everything? Love and family, all right? Because if you don't have your family, if you don't have love in your life, you know, it sounds all sappy, love and family. It's reality, guys, okay? I have not been able to reach the level of success that I have in my life until I had a good sense of family and a good sense of love. So I'm going to put that number one above everything. Some of you, it's your religion. Some of you, it's your God. I respect that. This isn't about who's right or wrong. This is about discourse. This is about bringing the information, discussing it, and getting better with each other by bringing information to the table, discussing it, discarding what is not fact, and hanging on to what is. But I'm here to talk to you about what I know. And what I know is based on personal experience. So today, in this episode, we're going to discuss money. How much is enough money? What does it take to get to enough money? Where have I experienced money in my life, and at what levels? Was it good? Was it bad? And what did I need to do to get to where I'm at now? And finally, we're going to kind of outline for you a basic idea of what it could take for you to get to a level of financial freedom that you would consider success, all right? So I want to take you back to when I was about 21 years old. I was working for a car dealership. I had gotten my credit score up to like 720 something at 21 years old. Mind you, I didn't have Man of the Free. I didn't have What is a Credit Score and How Do I Get a Good One episode by Big Luke to figure out how to get a good credit score. Didn't have any of that. I had a high school education. They never spoke to me about credit. I didn't know what FICO was, okay? I thought it might be a type of microwavable sandwich, and I had no idea what Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion were. So I was off to a great start in a financial business like the car business. However, I learned, it was a crash course. I picked up bits and pieces, such as the story of my life. No formal education, all self-taught. And as I did this, I learned that the market was very, I don't know what the word I would use. Ruben, you got a better vocabulary than me, but it was very soft. It was very forgiving. It was very generous, if you will. What I mean is this. In 2008, for those of you that know your financial history, there was a major collapse. Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, the market went, we get that sound effect? Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, that's the one. That's why I love Ruben, okay? It was not pretty in the economy, all right? But just before that, 2002, 3, 4, 5, okay? Leading into a major housing bubble that happened in the latter part of the early 2000s. They were giving away money like it was going out of style, guys. Now picture this. I'm a 20-year-old guy, right? Just clicked 19 to 20. I make, I don't know, 60, 70 grand a year at that time selling cars, maybe 80, I can't remember. But I know it was a good income for the time, all right? But I can tell you what shouldn't have happened. What shouldn't have happened is a mortgage company should not have given a 20-year-old boy a $120,000 pre-approval for a mortgage. I wasn't ready for it. All right, but like any other good young man filled with testosterone and visions of grandeur with my head on straight, bought a house. Spent $100 grand, just shy of $100 grand. Okay, got the home inspection, did the FHA thing, got some money down, and bought a house. Okay, so I owned this house, I maintained this house. I got a crash course in the fact that I was broke, even though I made what I thought was a decent paycheck. Home ownership will humble you. And those of you that are homeowners, you know this. But why am I speaking about this? It's important because very shortly after I bought that house, a friend reached out to me. His name was Ulash. Ulash was a Turkish guy. Ulash, if you're out there, hello. Ulash was a home equity loan banker for, I don't fucking remember, HSBC maybe, okay? And he was in my store one day, because he used to sell cars with us, letting us know that he had moved on to this career in banking. And, Luke, you got a house now? Yeah. How much do you owe on the house? Oh, I owe this much. Oh, really? The market is so strong right now. The values are up so high. All you got to do is come into my place. We'll sign a few forms. I'll get you equity out of your house. I'm like, great. What is that? It's money, Luke. Okay, you owe this much. Your house is now worth this much. I can get you the difference in cash. I'm like, really? He said, yeah, I didn't believe it. Not for a second, but you know what? It was worth a try. Plus, I knew he'd get a commission if I just walked through the door, so I was trying to help a brother out. I go in there, I walk out with a $30,000 home equity loan. What's that mean? That means in 72 hours, that bank deposited $30,000 into my checking account. And for a young man who was making double that in a year, okay, $30K was a lot of money. So why does this matter? This matters because it pertains to how I'm going to speak to you about money. A lump sum of money, a big pile of cash in your bank account, okay, 30 grand, 300 grand, 3 million, okay, is a tangible thing. You can look at it, you can appreciate it, you can love it, okay? But the days of compound interest and easy investing is over with, okay? So that money ain't gonna grow into something else unless you force it to or unless you intervene. So I'm this young kid. I got this big chunk of cash in the bank. Mind you, I was just starting to dabble with pills at the time. For those of you who know me, you know about my addiction. If you don't, watch my story. So I'm doing Oxycontins and Hydros and cocaine and going to the bar, and I had a nice little skinny, pretty Italian girlfriend with me. Her brother was a dope fiend too. We'd go out and party all night, man, go to concerts, go to the bars. My sister was a bartender at one of the bars, and 25 grand. I mean 30, nope, 25 now. Yeah, and then 20 grand. Was 39, 20, I still got 20, and then a little bit, well, it was 12. I still had over 10, and so on and so forth, guys. The money just, my Lord, just pissed away slowly, okay? Now, are you going to take 30 grand and piss it away on drugs? No. It will happen over time because that money is not growing. It's not doing anything other than sitting there. Now, what did I have when I had $30,000 in the bank? I had low blood pressure. I had a sense of calm when I went to bed at night, okay? What did I have when I had 20 grand in the bank? I had pretty low blood pressure. I had a relative sense of calm when I went to sleep at night, okay? But every time that pile diminished slightly, there was this feeling of, well, I mean, the home equity loan's got to get paid back, okay? Which would be comparable to the feeling of, well, I scratched off the lottery ticket once, it's not going to happen again. Or I got the settlement from my insurance because I busted my leg and I got paid, but I ain't busted my other one. Or I got that yearly bonus check for our best year in business and I don't think that's ever going to happen again, et cetera, et cetera. My point is, when the money is not replaceable, okay, you're going to have that feeling. That feeling of, I got a bunch of money saved in there, and as I spend, it's going to diminish, okay? Now, why am I speaking about that? Because there's a polar opposite to that, all right? There's an opposite end of the spectrum, which comes with a whole different, I don't know, set of confidence, all right? When I was 20 years old, I had a bunch of money in the bank saved. Well, not really saved, but you know why I got it. But we could compare it to a savings account. We can compare it to a settlement, a lump sum of money. When you have that money, you feel good, okay? You feel like you've got a nest egg, you're accomplished, you're successful, you're wealthy. Whatever word you want to use, insert it here. It's a good feeling, okay? But I constantly had this fear, this little tingling on the back of my neck, that unless I found a way to duplicate that, I was never going to be 30 grand in the bank again. See, because I wasn't good at saving money. I don't know about you, but I'm not good at saving money, okay? So eventually the pile diminished. Eventually I was back to living paycheck to paycheck. Eventually I was a bum, okay? Now, you might not be a bum, all right? You might not be a drug addict like I was, but that part's not important. What's important is the money's going to diminish eventually, okay? So you've all heard the old adage or wise tale that you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. But if you teach him to fish, he'll never go hungry. I say to you, you can give a man some money, but if you teach him to earn, he'll have a good life. What I mean to say, Ruben, it's not what I meant to say. What I meant to say was, you can give a man money, he'll have a great day. If you teach a man to earn, he'll have a great life, okay? Guys, it's live unscripted, I don't care. We laugh every once in a while, but the point is, cash flow is king, okay? That's what we're here to talk about today. At one point in my life, I was young. At one point in my life, I got a big lump sum at once. I was able to know what it felt like to have a big old nest egg in the bank. But it was scary because I watched it diminish and I watched it go away day in and day out and time again, okay? But then fast forward to the latter part of my life, okay? I got lucky and I landed a job that was, when I say lucky, I mean I saw a newspaper clipping and I responded to what I thought was just going to be a little job to get me through for a while. And I ended up walking into King Midas's living room, all right? I got the first interview. I did well. I thought I did terrible, but I did well. Then they did a phone interview where they kind of had me pitch sales over the phone. Apparently I nailed that. I was scared shitless. I actually did the interview on top of a roof while I was hammering ice and water paper into a roof, working, trying to make some money. I was fresh out of jail, mind you. And I nailed this phone interview, so I got this job. My first week on that job, my first paycheck was like $2,200, okay? It was like nothing I'd ever experienced, okay? When I say it was like nothing I'd experienced, I'd gotten strong paychecks before, but guys, this money came easy. And when I was in the car business, a $2,000 paycheck was followed by a $300 paycheck. It was like the tide, in and out. It was never steady money. So I thought to myself, I had a banger of a week. I've seen this before. But what really knocked my socks off was the next week, it happened again, except it was $2,300. And the next week, it happened again, except it was $2,400. And so on and so forth until I was knocking down over $2,000 every single week. In that moment, my life changed because I was able to have a feeling that money was going to start building as opposed to diminishing. I didn't spend $2,000 a week. I eventually figured it out real quick when I relapsed on drugs. Believe you me, I could fuck up a real good thing. Just give me time. I'm an addict. But when I had that feeling of, all right, well, rent's paid. Groceries are in the fridge and the cupboards. The car's running well. I guess I could just take the rest of this money and leave it in the bank. buy a couple lunches, buy some groceries. Next Thursday hits, it's payday. I'm not diminished. I still got $612 in the bank. Bam, here comes another $2,000. Now it's 26. Now that week I spend 1,000 of it. Next week after that, it's 22. On top of the 16 that was there, it's 38, et cetera, until all of a sudden I saw my wealth building. Better yet, when I got on drugs, when I started going down a really bad road, I was able to sustain that habit for a very long time, guys, because there was constantly money coming in, okay? So what am I trying to explain to you? What I'm trying to explain to you guys is saving money is overrated. Should you have a nest egg? Should you have a buffer or a safety net? Abso-fucking-lutely. I do. I can tell you in confidence that if I didn't make a penny for a year, my bills are paid, I've got 12 months to figure it out. And I strongly recommend, if we're talking about money, that you put yourself in the same position, okay? But what I'm saying to you today is you need to learn to earn. You have to understand that job you have, which gets you just enough money to meet your style of living, it just ain't enough, brother, sister, friend. Just ain't enough, guys. And it's not what you want to hear. I understand that. But I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to help you get better. Money is going to make you free. Money is going to put you in the state of mind that is healthy, okay? Am I trying to tell you that money is a medication? No. What I'm trying to tell you is when you don't have bills to fight over, that's one less risk that your relationship has of fighting. When your kid's not mad at you because he can't play football, because you can't afford the equipment that the school's not paying for this year, when you don't have that problem, that argument and that stress with your child goes away. I could cite many other examples and ramble like I usually do, but today's topic is just too bloody important, guys. You got to understand that you need cash flow, all right? I want you to stop and think for a second about some of the most wealthy earners in the world. Warren Buffett, let's take him. Oh, Warren's a great example of what to do to your wealth, isn't he, Ruben?
Yes.
I do a pretty good Warren Buffett, don't I, Ruben?
You do.
You should give him to Charlie. Warren Buffett has realized at a very early age that if he takes his money and invests it in a way where his money then works for him and earns more money, that's a compiling situation. It's just going to keep doing that, okay? It requires a little bit of diligence on his part. Obviously, he's got to know what companies to pick. He's got to have an affinity for how to use money, okay? But my point is this, guys, the man don't have calluses on his hands. He doesn't stroke a brush and paint fences. He doesn't press caps onto bottles at the Pepsi bottling company. And he sure as hell don't answer to anybody. Explain to you my personal experience with business ownership, okay? When I started my company, CNY Drives, I had a goal. And my goal was to make $80,000 to $100,000 a year, have my own place of work to maintain, grow, love, nurture, whatever. And I wanted to be my own boss. I had just recently spent some time behind bars. I was sick of people telling me what to do. I wanted to live free. Man of the, That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be that since an early age. So I started my company. And I said, babe, to my girl Nikki, my wife, love you, honey, would not be here without her, okay? That's a whole nother episode. But I said, babe, we're going to make 80 to 100 grand a year. That was this magical number that was intrinsic in me that I think somewhere along the way in the small school, suburban atmosphere, semi-successful, middle-class adults that I was raised by, 80 to 100, it was like a sentence, 80 to 100 grand. Oh, I'm going to make 80 to 100 grand. It wasn't a number. It wasn't like, go out and your goal is to earn $99,000. No, 80 to 100 grand. Anyways, I digress, but a lot of you know what I'm talking about. It was just this mystical figure that meant you're successful. It was that, you're nodding over there, Ruben, like you know what I'm talking about. It was that middle class way. Was it that way for you too?
Yeah.
It was like, if you can make 80 to 100 grand, you're a successful American.
Yeah, I think that's everyone.
No kidding. Your parents were that way too?
Yeah.
Our parents should get together and have coffee, and we'll just execute them all. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm absolutely kidding. We got to remember, we're on social media. The army shall come for us. Guys, what I'm trying to explain to you is when I started my company, I just wanted to make a good income. I wanted to have enough money to pay my bills, go on a few vacations, provide my wife a nice engagement ring. We weren't married at the time. Make sure she drove a nice car, I drove a nice car. We had a nice 2,500 square foot house, and that was it. That was success. But something happened. I got educated, and I learned that cash flow is a beautiful thing. What do I mean by that? For those of you guys who are not super business minded, and I don't mean you're not smart with business, I mean that you don't occupy the majority of your open thought with business or how to progress or how to scale, okay? But somebody like me whose mind is saturated with that information all the time can tell you this. When you start a business, it's a beautiful thing, okay? Now, I don't know the statistic, Ruben. Maybe you could put it right here. But I think it's like 97% of all small businesses fail or break even or something like that. And as far as I'm concerned, breaking even is failing. Why would you want to just draw a paycheck from your company? Why would you not want to build something that creates wealth? But I digress. So I learned when I started my company that 80 to 100 grand was not that difficult, all right? And it didn't come on the back of shooting for that goal. What I'm trying to say, guys, is I didn't say I'm going to make 80 to 100 grand and take out a map and track each dollar each day and so on and so forth. No, I just put my big, round, porous, red, ugly German nose to the grindstone, and I pushed and I worked and I didn't sleep much, and I invested every thought, every ounce of my being, every bit of energy, and so did my wife, into making that business successful. When a customer walked through the door, I treated them as well as I could. I got them the best purchase situation that I could. I sold them the best car that I could. Rinse and repeat. And somewhere along the way, I looked at my bank account, and there was enough money in there to cover what I wanted to make for the year. And it certainly hadn't been a year. And then I went to my wife and I said, babe, it's 120 grand in the bank. She's like, yeah, I've been watching. And I'm like, we own the place. That's ours. And then it dawned on both of us that we had been so busy working and creating and pushing that we'd accomplished our goal 5 months into the year. And guys, I'm not sharing this with you to brag or to boast or to flex, even though I am very proud of it and I have every right to be, okay? Mind you, this was 7 years ago now, and it's gone a lot farther since then. But I'm telling you because I try to bring you value. I want to make this tangible for you. I want you to say, I know that guy. I've seen him walk down the street. I remember seeing that guy's face in the newspaper when he robbed the bank. I know that's a real human being, okay? So if he's telling me these things and he's giving me the resources to hold him accountable and fact check him, then I know it's real. And a matter of fact, he's not a celebrity. He's not sitting down with Whoopi Goldberg and Tucker Carlson. It's just a guy that chose to buy a couple lights and cameras and pay a producer, a handsome one at that, Ruben, and just make content. Why? Because I've hit a level of success, guys, that I'm very proud of, that's brought me to a level that I never thought I would get to. And when I say never thought I would get to, did I not think I was capable of success? It's not really about that, guys. It's about you don't know what you can do if you've never seen it, if you've never fathomed it. And I think sometimes, guys, that's where our parents sell us short. Now, if you got the kind of parents that are millionaires and they've tried to coach you to great success, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the majority of us whose parents are middle class, whose parents make 50, 60, 70, maybe 80, 90, 100 grand a year, okay? They got 401ks and medical insurance, and they drive a Tesla or a Silverado 1500, and they do well. They've molded us, guys, without intention or maybe with, to believe that that is success. What do you aspire to? I want to take over my dad's business one day. I want to be just like my dad one day. If you're tenacious, I want to do better than my dad one day. But your line in the sand is what your parents have done. Your parents didn't say, hey, you see Elon Musk? He's the richest man in the world. I want you to see if we can get to a point where you double his production. I don't know a lot of parents that are doing that, which means I don't know a lot of kids who are after billions. I know kids that want to get a college scholarship. They think that that is an accolade that is worthy of a trophy, okay? It's a good thing, don't get me wrong. A college scholarship, pay for your school. If that's your thing, God bless you. But it is a marker in the constellations that is just unfathomable. All my college paid for. Or a job that pays $80,000 to $100,000 a year. It's just a marker of success for middle-class America. Guys, am I downplaying good money? It's live and I'm thirsty. That's the tagline, Ruby Doo. It's live and I'm thirsty. Not downplaying anybody's success, guys. You make $100,000 a year, you're doing goddamn good. And for those of you making 30, 25, $16 an hour at 30 hours a week, stay with me, guys. This is not me telling you that what you're doing is wrong. I'm simply trying to convey to you that it is so much more simple than you can possibly imagine. And I know this because I've done it. And I'm not telling you this to make you think I'm superior or special. I'm saying this. I'm saying if I was able to start a business, I have no college education, none. The only time I ever spent in college was getting drunk on recruiting visits that I never ended up going for because of my shoulder injury, okay? I maybe went and picked up a girl on a college campus or dropped one off drunk one night, but I never spent one day, 1 hour in a classroom with a professor. I don't have a degree. There's nobody in this world that has said, Luke Langenheimer is qualified to speak on the topic of blah with this plaque. Doesn't exist. Nobody has signed a certificate attesting to my level of knowledge. Okay? But guess what? I'm still here on your phone screen. I'm still here on your computer monitor, in your TV, in your headphones, at the gym. Why? Because it doesn't take a degree, guys. It doesn't take that same course of action that they told you to follow. Here's what it takes. What did I just get done saying? I looked at the bank account one day. There was a couple $100,000 in there, or 120 at that particular time. How does that happen? I worked hard. And when I worked hard, because I had created, keyword created, that business, I got to keep 100% of what went in the bank account, okay? Now, in the interest of full disclosure, at the beginning stage of the company, I had a financial partner, okay? So I did split some of the profit. I'm just trying to be full disclosure. It doesn't really hold pertinence to this discussion, but there are so many goddamn whine-ass, sharky haters behind those keyboards that you got to take moments like this and say, well, let me make sure I explain completely. But I digress. Because of that hard work, because of that discipline, I was so immersed in doing what I loved. And that's another footnote, guys. You're going to want to write this down. You want to get highly successful? Do something that you love. And did I love selling used cars? Yes, I did. I grew up around it. I love cars. I love people. I like turning a wrench. I like taking a car that's got oxidation on it and buffing it and making it shine. I like vehicles. I like people. I love selling. So selling used cars to people was a gall darn good fit for the boy Big Luke, okay? So what does this all mean? Guys, there's pieces to this financial success idea, okay? And they are as follows. Number one, you have to enjoy what you do, okay? So if you're in a job that you can't stand, don't plan on financial freedom. It's simply not going to come, okay? If you get up every day and you hit snooze 6 times because the thought of getting in your fucking Corolla one more time and driving to work has you ready to pull your goddamn hair out of your head, it's not going to happen, guys. Take it from me. Take it from experience. Go find me a millionaire that hates what they're doing, okay? First step, you got to enjoy what you're doing. And I say that from experience, guys, because I know when I loved what I did, I didn't even pay attention to what was in the bank. I hadn't even realized that one day I had usurped what I planned to make in a year in 5 months, okay? Happiness. You gotta enjoy what you do. Number 2, you need to lift barriers. What do I mean by that? You need to start a company that moves concrete Jersey barriers? No. This goes back to what I was just saying to you folks about your parents and what they created and what your mindset was and your mind's eye of what success was, okay? I grew up with a barrier of $78,000 a year. because I was told that that's the most money that my dad made. It was his best year. And to me, that was a good year for us. So $78,000 was this number that was written in the stars. And if I could get to that number, if I could get to 80 G's, oh man, I'd have it made. What's the problem with that, guys? Some of you know, some of you are on the edge of your seat waiting for me to tell you. Well, for those of you who are tipping on the edge, it's because if that is where your mind is headed, you'll never succeed. You'll never exceed that, okay? What do I mean? If your mind is so focused on 80 grand as being that marker in the sand, you may not know it. Let's put it this way. I'll keep it on the me because I speak from experience. Guys, I'm a millionaire. I say that. It's weird to say. It's almost a guilty feeling when I say it. Like, I don't say that to them. You don't want to make people feel bad. You don't want to flex. Guys, what that means is what I've created, my business, my company, the money that I have, the assets that I have, the cash flow that my business brings in every month, okay? If I were to liquidate my possessions, it would be well over $1 million, okay? And many times that, okay? We won't get into specifics of my worth, but I can tell you I'm qualified to speak on these things, okay? And thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing me to have humility about it. But I'm explaining it to you. I'm talking to you about it. It'd be like this, guys. It'd be like a boxing coach coming in and telling you to jump rope. And when you get tired, he says, you best keep jumping rope. And when you got calluses and your feet are starting to bleed, he says, keep jumping the goddamn rope. And the guy next to you says, do you know this guy's never won a boxing match, ever? This guy has fought 17 times. He's been knocked out every single time. You're going to throw the jump rope down. You're going to take off to the locker room because you're going to say, this motherfucker making my feet bleed. He don't even know how to box. So how dare I expect you to watch my show and take what I say and apply it to your life if I don't at least share with you that I got a few fucking nickels to rub together, okay? That's the only reason I do that, guys. Anybody with a good business sense can drive by my car dealerships, can watch my show, can just observe the way I function, and they know my relative worth, okay? So it's not like I'm unearthing anything that you couldn't figure out yourself. Christ, I've got a public business. You can look it up. You can see what the annual sales are. You can do that, okay? But guys, it's important for me to share that with you so you know that I'm qualified to speak on these things, all right? You gotta lift barriers. What are barriers? Your dad made 80. 80 is your success point. That's a barrier, okay? My father died at 73. Excuse me. Ruben, that dinosaur barbecue barking back at you a little bit too?
A little bit.
Ruben and I did a pre-show lunch, and let's just say we didn't go easy on the barbecue. Shout out Dinosaur Barbecue. If you ever head into Syracuse, they got some good ribs, man, okay? But these barriers, okay? If your father died of a heart attack at the age of 63, do you think really that you're going to be planning a life into your 80s? Something in you subconsciously is going to say, man, well, dad pieced out around 63. And if your parents died young, I'm sorry. May they rest in peace. But if that is the case, you might be wrestling with some things that you don't even know about. You might be planning on dying at retirement age, okay? You might have a wife who doesn't quite understand why you guys aren't saving money, and you think in the back of your head it's because I ain't going to make it to see that, and she doesn't know. Have that conversation, number one. Number two, lift the barrier. You ain't him. There's many advances in genetics and medicine, guys. We're living in a different world now. But that is an example of a barrier. My dad died young. My mom was a drug addict. My family lived in poverty, okay? Nobody ever got out of the D. Detroit 8 Mile, haha. No one ever got out of my small town. No one I know has ever made $100,000. They're all barriers. Get the fuck rid of them. They don't apply to you. They don't. The reason I speak on it so passionately, guys, is because I was ridden with barriers my whole life. It's why I used drugs. It's why I walked into a bank and robbed it, because it was either going to be suicide or bank robbery. That's a fact. It's why I didn't make over $100,000 until it happened by accident, okay? All of a sudden, something pretty amazing happened that day. I went, wait a minute. I mean, guys, I'm serious. I almost took my pay stub and went into the boss and said, oh, I think you made a mistake. People that come from where I come from, in my family, they don't make $168,000 in a year. They don't. This is a mistake. And I kind of voiced that to him. I was like, man, I don't know. I almost feel like I'm overpaid. I don't know. And he explained to me this. This was a mentor of mine who originally became my investing partner for my company. He said, Luke, you need to understand something. I know your father. I know who he was. I know what he was capable of. He was a great man, but he is not you. You are the farthest thing from who your father was. Do you know who you remind me more of? I said, who, Rich? He said, my partner, Tony. You remind me more of my partner, Tony, than you do your own father. I said, yeah? He goes, yeah. Tony just bought my Rochester store from me for whatever it was, $1.6 million. He goes, matter of fact, and he pulls out a check. It was for like $500,000. He's like, this is one of his installment payments. And I stopped and I thought to myself, this man is a mentor of mine. He's worth probably 20 million bucks. He's somebody who has far exceeded anybody I've ever met as far as financial prowess and money in the bank. And I know he doesn't mince words. I know he doesn't bullshit people. And I know he does not give out compliments freely. So I believed what he said. And it got me thinking. And that day, my friends, a barrier was lifted. It's like an incredible weight was come off my shoulders. I was this guy. I was a six-figure earner. Not only a six-figure earner, I almost made $200,000. I couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, I was driving by Cadillac dealerships looking at new Escalades, going, I could. I was driving through neighborhoods with $1 million houses going, maybe, if I save enough. Definitely looking at $500,000, $600,000 houses going, yeah, that's a reality. I was looking at my bank account. I would just look at it. I would just, like Ed Bassmaster, would you just look at that car, Ruben? Would you just have a look at it? You know what I would do? I would take my phone. I would just say, would you just have a look at it? And I would look at it. I wonder if they're like Ed Bassmaster. I would look at my phone and I would look at the bank balance and I would shit myself. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with that? Never had that much money before. Maybe I'll go buy a snowmobile. And I did. And realized I didn't like the cold anymore, and I sold my snowmobile. Is that funny to you, asshole? I got Raynaud's syndrome, Ruben. It's this thing where when I go out in the cold, my hands turn white and they don't want to work. I look like that guy from the fucking Scary Movie. You know, the guy stuffs the turkey with his strong hand. Yeah, that's me in the cold, guys. Little spoiler alert, Big Luke ain't going to Aspen skiing with you guys. But guys, a barrier was lifted. I realized I was a big earner. I could make that kind of money. And you know what that did for me that day? It opened up another question. Well, if I can make a couple $100,000, could I make a couple million? And then life became a lot of fun to live because I no longer had a barrier in front of me. I no longer was a guy that could only get to a certain point. Furthermore, a man, another human being that I had networked with, had put my mind in a place and given me an opportunity to see the world in a completely different way. Almost like I was somebody who was in control. I was somebody who was free to take a shot in the marketplace. I no longer had to go work for somebody. I no longer had to be told what my benefits were going to be. I no longer had to be told when my vacation time was and how many days I could have. Nobody told me what I was going to do with the rest of my life. It was all open to me. And my friends, when that day comes, your life is fulfilled. It's a feeling like I could die tomorrow and, well, you know what? I don't even want to say that. Here's what I will tell you. Almost the opposite, actually. It was at that time in my life where I really started to fear death. I really started to fear death. You're talking about a guy that walked into a bank and strong-arm robbed it with no letter, no weapon, just his words. Okay? You can watch the video. It's on Google. A guy that walked in and strong-arm robbed a bank is now in a position where He feels like the world is his oyster, where he can accomplish anything, okay? Guys, you got to lift barriers. You got to realize that this world is a place that is yours for the taking. I've said it in other episodes, and I'll say it again today. If you went out in the marketplace and you removed $1 billion right now, you went down to Bank of America, downtown, wherever you are, you took $1 billion out of Bank of America's general resource account. Somebody who's a bean counter somewhere would notice, but the marketplace wouldn't. The stock market would, slight blip, not a big deal. It's $1 billion, no big deal, okay? Trillions, then you'll start to notice. But there is so much money out there and such a big piece of the pie, guys. Why the hell you're not getting yourself a big-ass chunk? That is your responsibility. And until you can answer that question and be accountable to your spouse, to your family, to yourself, I recommend you got some work to do, my friend, okay? Now, if you're the person sitting there saying, man, I make 65 grand a year. I'm the top earner at my job. It's as far as you can go. I'm happy with that. I got a house. I got a gravel driveway, got a couple snowmobiles. I got 5 acres. I got a timeshare down in Florida. I'm good, Big Luke. Well, then, my friend, listen to the words, enjoy the episode, pick up what knowledge and what nuggets that you can, and you keep doing you, because you know what? That's beautiful. If you are truly happy, then, man, you got a lot of folks beat, okay? I can tell you one thing, though. When that variable enters your life, when, God forbid, your child comes home ill and has to go to the doctor and needs a $35,000 treatment that your insurance won't cover, you might tune back into this episode to figure out how to earn more money. When, God forbid, your wife falls and smacks her head and you need to get her medical coverage or a medical device that's not covered by the insurance, having a couple $100,000 in the bank or some cash flow, it's not going to hurt, okay? If you're happy, I'm happy for you. But I must tell you, unless you have a substantial amount of excess cash flow coming in every month, I think you might want to reevaluate your situation, okay? Don't let happiness come from ignorance. What do I mean by that? Am I saying you're ignorant? No. Ignorance is simply the state of not knowing. Ruben, can we get the definition of ignorance? Thank you. So fun. But anyways, it's a state of not knowing, okay? Being ignorant to the fact, all right? Don't let being ignorant to the fact that you may need a big chunk of cash somewhere in the near future allow you to consider yourself happy and satisfied, okay? So guys, we talked about barriers and having to lift barriers, all right? And you need to take risks. There it is, guys. As important as the day is long. Because if you don't take a risk, if everything remains comfortable, you cannot possibly progress. Why? Because something's got to change, okay? You got an Olympic sprinter running a 1090 over and over and over again. Well, if he just does the same exact thing and trains a little harder, he ain't going to get any faster. He's got to try something different. When you've reached the point where you are maximized, where you are streamlined, where you're giving, every ounce out of you that you have, you need to take a risk. You got to shake it up, okay? My wife, before she was my wife, God bless her and her generous heart, she had some money from a settlement, okay? She got her leg busted up. She had a bunch of money in the bank, better part of $100,000. And she came to me and she said, honey, I saw the way that you managed that dealership for that guy you were partners with that robbed you. That's another part of my story. Check my story. And I can't believe how many cars you sold, babe. I can't believe how much money you made. I can't believe how much money you made that guy. I'm impressed. And I love you. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you. So I want you to take this $80,000. It's my last 80. And I want you to take it. And I want you to go start a business. You love me, right? Yes, I do. You said you want to marry me? Absolutely. If you're not going anywhere, babe, just take it. Because I know when you take this money, now stop for a minute and realize that my wife was more confident in me than I was. Okay? What's that tell you about the level of confidence that I had at that time? Guys, I haven't always been this overbearing, boastful, egomaniacal, whatever other descriptive words that are negative that you're going to use, that the haters are going to use to describe me, want to insert here. She had a higher opinion of me than I did of myself. She wanted to give me $80,000 because she knew better than I did that I was going to turn that money into a flourishing business. And I looked at her and I said, honey, I was all teary-eyed. It was a very emotional moment. She had had a lot of men in her life that had taken things from her. Okay, a lot of guys that took advantage financially of her and her generosity and just, soaked all the water out of the sponge and then left it on the sink to dry rot and just went along their merry way. Okay, but I love this woman, and I was not going to let my relationship be on the backbone of money. What if I had a bad day at work? What if we lost some money? What if I lost all the money? What if I fucking failed? Now I have to try to spend the rest of my life making it up to this woman? No, I wasn't willing to do that to myself, number one. Number two, the moment that money changed hands and the money went from her bank account to my bank account, she was going to be wondering, is he going to be another one that just takes the money and run? Is he really in love with me, or was this all just a ploy to get this money? I know he didn't ask for it, but he could be a great con man. He might have manipulated me into giving it to him. That could have been a story. That guy might not have robbed him. He might have just quit. There's a million things that could have entered that poor girl's head. And when you love somebody, take notes. When you love somebody, you put them before yourself. Every time. You know how bad I wanted to take that 80 G's and go start my own company? Do you realize that when I actually partnered with the gentleman that invested for me to start my company, I only got slightly more than half of the profit for the first 4 fucking years that I made hundreds of thousands of dollars for myself and that man? All I had to do was take Nikki's 80 grand and I would have made double the money for the first 4 years. But I wouldn't change a thing. People say that to me. They say, Luke, now that you know it's successful, now that you know it's going to become a $10 million business, now that you know you're going to do all these things, wouldn't you have just gone back and taken the 80 grand? No. Because those hundreds of thousands of dollars were well worth my wife, knowing that it wasn't about the money. I didn't want her money. I wanted her to have her money. I wanted her to have what she earned and she deserved. Christ, she's still aches to this day when the weather changes because her leg's so fucked up, there's a rod through it. That's her $80,000, okay? Well, she managed to spend a whole lot of it, what I consider somewhat irresponsibly, but guess what? It's her money, man. I don't give a shit if she wanted to buy Twinkies or fucking Christmas tree air fresheners with it. Do whatever the hell she wants. But I wasn't going to take that money, okay? Why not? Because I love the woman and I didn't want her to worry that our relationship was founded on money, okay? Furthermore, I was willing to take a risk. I was willing to take this gentleman's money who told me, go ahead, man, let's do this thing. I trust you. I know you can do it. I see the tenacity and the glow in your eyes when you talk about the car business. But I'm going to tell you what, son, you rob me. You get a brand new pair of shoes made out of concrete. And he wasn't kidding. If you rob me, you'll pay me back every penny with interest, real interest. For those of you who have ever borrowed money from the mob before, no, I'm just kidding. He's not a mobster. But it wouldn't have been pretty for old Luke, guys. We'll just leave it at that, okay? The day that I refused that money from my wife, I felt devastated. I walked away going, you know what? Fuck, there was my golden opportunity. I'm never going to have the credit to borrow that money. I'm never going to get that money. It just ain't going to happen. It was good while it lasted. I enjoyed running that dealership for that other guy. I enjoyed the thought of that prosperity, but it's never going to have a, hey, Luke, yes, sir. Can I come in? Sure. This was my boss. Need to sit down and talk to you. Okay. This is several months into my new job with him after I had been robbed by the guy I was working with. Asked me a few questions. When I worked at that car dealership I ran for the guy. What was the rent? How much was the split? How much money did we need, et cetera, et cetera. I thought we were just having a conversation. He was a businessman. He'd want to know the information. He was curious, so we talked. The next day, the man came in with a yellow legal pad, and he wrote down some numbers. He wrote down a rent that was half of what I paid at the other place. He wrote down a percentage that was 5% more than the other guy paid me. And he wrote down a dollar amount that was twice what the other guy gave me to start with. I said, what's this? He said, that's an offer for partnership. I said, that's the rent? He said, yeah. I said, why so cheap? He said, I want to make sure you have a chance to succeed. He owned the building. I said, the 55-45? I said, okay. I said, I was 50-50, but I mean, I don't have anybody else offering to stake me right now. So he goes, no, the 55 is for you. I said, you're going to give me the lion's share? It's your money. He said, yeah. But if I'm generous to you up front and I give you more than you deserve off the rip, I don't think you're ever going to want to rob me again, Luke. It was real and it stung at the same time. And for those of you who don't know the story, watch my story, okay? And then the bottom figure was the dollar amount, and it was double what I needed to get started before. And I said, 100 grand? He said, yeah, 50 grand more if you need it. I said, Rich, why are you being so generous? He said, because Luke, when you talked about the car business, when you talked about what you did with the other guy, when you talked about what you did business-wise, he said, I've seen a glow surround you that I have seen around very few human beings in my lifetime. You are passionate about that job. You love that business. You just sink your teeth into the conversation every time you talk about it. And I said, yeah, man, you're right. You nailed it. And he said, Luke, see if this sounds familiar. He said, Luke, when somebody is passionate about the job that they do and they love what they get up and go do on a daily basis, there's no way they're not going to be successful. It's not a matter of if you're going to make us money. It's how much money are you going to make us? And I stopped and I thought about that and I looked at him. And to be honest with you, my listeners, I started crying. And I almost did just now, replaying that memory. Because I couldn't believe what was happening. But I knew why. It's because I told my wife no. I said, no, I don't want your money. I did the right thing. I did the right thing, even though it didn't benefit me, okay? So let's regroup, guys. You got to be passionate. You got to love what you do. If you want to become highly successful and you want the freedom that comes with large sums of money, you got to be passionate about what you do. You got to lift barriers. Guys, you got to enjoy what you do. If you're wanting to get to a financial freedom, if you're wanting to get to serious wealth, if you're wanting to get to above average earning, which I promise you will bring you happiness and success. Is it everything? No. Is it a big goddamn percentage? Yes, it is. You got to enjoy what you do. You got to fire out of bed. You got to smack the alarm clock, not the snooze button. You got to run in the shower. You got to be whistling on your way to work. There's going to be bad days too, but by and large, you got to be passionate and you got to want to do what you're doing every day. You got to enjoy it, guys. That's one. Number two, you got to lift barriers. We just spent a whole lot of time talking about it. Okay. Barriers are the mindset that my dad made 80, so I got to make 80 or maybe just a little more. Why not 800? Why not 8 million? Why not 8 billion? Stop saying this person close to me did this. What about the richest man in the world? How do you know that you are not qualified to compete at that level? You don't. Unless you've been there and failed miserably, you don't know. So why sell yourself short, guys? Life is so short. It is so short. Think of the people that you've lost in your life. I think of my friend Justin Kasler. May he rest in peace. 26 years old, he died on a motorcycle, which is what he loved doing. So I guess, man, if you got to go, You go with what you're passionate with. But this man died at 26. Beautiful human being. Just an excellent individual. Taught me a lot of things at a very young age. But he did not get a chance to live life to its fullest. And tomorrow may be your last day. You may walk out of 7-Eleven and some random drug dealer catching a bad lick, pops one off, misses the mark, takes you out, and it's over. God forbid, I hope that does not happen. But it can, and we see it in the news every single day. Disease, accidents, trauma, violence. It's everywhere in this world, guys. You're on borrowed time every day. I know people who waked up, Ruben. They woke up one day with a headache. Headaches came 4, 5, 6 days in a row. They went to the doctor. I'm sorry, you've got an inoperable mass on your brain. You got 6 weeks left to live. Well, shit. Doesn't that change perspective on things? Okay? You got to enjoy what you do. You got to lift barriers, guys. You got to get those things that are just not allowing you to break through, things that are going to keep you from getting to that next level of success. And you just got to get over it, man. But here it is. Third and final, and as far as I'm concerned, most important. You got to take risks. You are not going to get to the next level unless you grow a pair and you take some risks, okay? I want you to stop and think about, for those of you that like extreme sports, I'd like you to stop and think about if every year when you watched the X Games or the Red Bull Olympics or whatever the hell they're called, and they did the same tricks every year, just it was a new face, maybe a little variation, maybe some different scenery, maybe a nicer set of skis. But every time you watched it, you knew you were going to see a donkey kick, a backflip, and an ollie. That's skateboard stuff. I don't know skiing well. Throw whatever you want in there. Same thing every year, just slight variations. There would be nothing to look forward to. When those athletes take risks, it brings value. When they push the envelope, it entertains you. When they put their lives at risk, it excites you. Because positive change is spurred off the back of risk-taking. Investors who've made millions have taken big risks. Steve Jobs took big risks. Jeff Bezos took big risks. Bill Gates, you name it. George Washington, Abe Lincoln. Other than your husband's brains leaking, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play this weekend? Credit Eminem. That dude's got some fucking rhymes, huh?
Really?
Guys, you got to take risks. You have to, okay? You have to get comfortable with the thought that you might fail. It could very well happen. And quite honestly, if you're a productive person, if you'd go down that road of entrepreneurship, you welcome failure because it's how you learn. It's how you get better. If you want me to sit here and look you in the eyes and tell you that my company has never made a bad decision, I can't do that. If you want me to tell you that every single day that I've gone to work has been full of prosperous actions and good decision making and everything on an upward trajectory, I don't lie, guys, so I couldn't tell you that. But here's what I know. Unless you walk into your boss's office and you say, listen, man, you may not want to hear this, but I'm the best you got. And I know you like the fact that I work for $25 an hour right now, but I'm walking out of here today unless that number goes to 35. Because here's what I know. I know that team of idiots that you got back there that you call my coworkers don't produce a third of the work that I do. And they make the same amount of money. So the way I look at it, I'm giving you a break by only asking for 10 more bucks an hour. Now, I respect you and I appreciate this opportunity, but I'm not going to continue to make you all this money and get paid the same as those schmucks who are doing 1/3 the work. It's not going to happen, sir. So I kindly give you the ultimatum that I will now earn $35 an hour starting tomorrow. Matter of fact, it's been a rough week. I would like the additional 10 an hour retro back to my last 60 hours of this week as well. I will take that in 2 installments. Half of it this Friday, half of it next Friday. But it's $35, sir, or I'm out of here. You're sitting there going, what the fuck? You're nuts, man. No. What you don't realize is that happens every single day. People do those things. And guess what? They get raises. Or if they're entitled fools that go in asking for a raise that are not deserving of it, they get fired. Either way, you find out what you're worth real quick, okay? You gotta take risks. You're that guy working a 9 to 5, okay? You're working for the heating and air conditioning company. And you're going, man, we drive a van, we take a hand truck and we bring a metal box in, we plug it in, we run the ductwork, we walk back out, we get paid $30 an hour. At the end of the week, I get $1,200. But what I know is when I walk away with the aluminum clipboard and I go back to my van, I always peek at the invoice. And I see $12,500, $22,100, $8,500. And I just think to myself, how come that guy that owns the company gets $15,000 for what we did? But it took me 4 hours at $25 an hour. That means I only got $100 for what I just did. How does that? It's because he's the guy taking the risk. He's the guy paying the insurance bill. He's the guy paying for the cars. He's the guy providing you your paycheck. He's the guy under the scrutiny of the licensing agencies and the government. He's the one that goes to bed with the weight of the world on his shoulders and the stress of business ownership and understanding that he's got to provide for all his employees. He's the guy with a prescription for blood pressure medication because it ain't easy. But guess what, my friend? For the small price of a little bit of anxiety and a lot of upside, you too can be the guy that gets the check inside that metal clipboard. It ain't all bad, guys. I promise you this, okay? Business ownership is a beautiful thing, okay? Is it the only way to financial freedom? A lot of me wants to say yeah, but I can't say that because I know guys that have very good positions in their companies that make a lot of money. They rival close to what I make, okay? Actually, I'm sure there's others that make more. I'm not limiting it to that. I'm just saying that the large majority of the people who are the serious earners I know, they run their own stuff. They're their own boss, okay? It's a very desirable thing. The others, the ones that play ball at the higher levels, they got good jobs within their company. It's because they took the risk and asked for it. It's because they took the risk and they stuck their neck out and they made a decision or a call that they thought was necessary that was a little outside their pay grade and it went really well. And then the boss called them in and bumped them up to upper management. You got to enjoy what you do. You got to lift the barriers that are set in your mind. And you got to what, Ruben? Take risks. He thought I was going to forget. Hell no. You got to take risks, guys. Enjoy what you do. Lift your barriers. Take your risk. And I'm happy to walk with you hand in hand along the way. Okay? We are going to do episodes on business ownership. We're going to do episodes on how to grow a small business. In fact, Ruben and I just went to lunch today, and we're going to jump right into that because I thought to myself, and Ruben said to me, Luke, we're talking to these guys about getting rich and getting wealthy and all these things, and you talk about your business and owning it, and I know you wanted to get into small business and business ownership. Why don't we just do a series of videos and walk them through creating a company? And I said, you know what, Ruben? That's a great fucking idea. Because I don't see anybody else out there doing it for free. I see Tony Robbins with his business mastery course and his giant fingers. No disrespect, Tony. I kind of like Tony. But he's got giant fingers. Anyways, I see your Grant Cardones with your Cardone University and your 10X and your Cardone Capital and all that stuff. Guys, I'm not hating. Those guys got a lot more money than me, okay? God bless them. I've learned from them. You'll hear me mention them. What I'm saying is ain't no one of them doing it for free, okay? And maybe one day I'll create something and charge for it. I probably will. I'm a businessman. But I'll tell you what, guys, these early stages of Man of the Free, where we're bringing free value to help you become free, pay attention, man, because I'm spending a lot of time and a lot of effort bringing a lot of value with no price tag. I'm going to create episodes where I literally help you buy the pot, the soil, the seed, plant the seed, water it, put the light on it, grow it. No, not marijuana, tomato plants, just like high school. I'm going to teach you how to grow a business. I'm going to show you step by step how you can become financially free. But that's for another day. Thank you for your time today, guys. I appreciate you. I'm here to bring you value, and every single one of you that listens to the words I have to say, I appreciate you, and I want your feedback. I'd like you to click the buttons on the bottom of the screen that you know we want you to click. The big old one of these if you think we're doing a good job. If you don't, if you think it's some bullshit, click that guy. I'm okay. I can deal with it. Ruben's going to call me up and let me know what I'm doing wrong. I promise you that, okay? The one that, what's a synonym for that word, Ruben? Membership? I don't know. Fucking subscribe, guys. Do it, okay? We try to stay away from those words because the algorithm, if it hears you say, like, subscribe, and comment, it knows that you're fishing for compliments, okay? So do that, though. Get in the comment section, guys, okay? Fill it up. Talk amongst yourselves. I will chime in. Let us know what we can do better. Let us know what you liked. Let us know, better yet, what you want to hear, okay? But if you like us, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like us, please give us a thumb down. We want to hear that too. Comment in the comment section. And if you like the free value and if you want to get better, subscribe to this son of a bitch because we're going to help you, okay? That's Ruben. I'm Big Luke. This is the man of the free. We appreciate you. And until next time, stay hungry, stay motivated, stay focused, but more importantly, stay free.